Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the class. Welcome to the whatever this is, the lesson. You are here early. We'll get started in 20 minutes. Yes, actually 21 minutes. Hello, everyone. A few people are already letting me know where they're from. I see someone from Armenia. Awesome. Greece. Let's see. Where else is everyone watching from? Any other unique locations? Welcome. Romania. Portugal. Nice. Germany. Portugal. Never been to Portugal. Portugal has a kind of an indirect relationship with Korea and Japan. They used to do trading. Portuguese were doing lots of trading, and that's where a lot of Portuguese words got into Korean through Japanese, through Portuguese traders. One common word is bang for bread. A lot of stuff is through there. Brazil, Morocco, Hungary, Russia, France, London, Algeria, Germany, the UK, USA. Well, that sounds exotic. I'd like to visit there someday. Great Britain. Welcome to our new member, Aniki. Paulina, you say you were in Portugal this year. What do you do in Portugal? I don't know anything about it. I've heard a few of my friends have visited there before. Saudi Arabia. Have you been or heard about? Of course I've heard of Armenia. When I was in high school, my best friend was Armenian. But I don't know anything about it. I just know there's some good food. But, you know, that kind of goes with every country. I don't know, but there's some good food there, pretty much. Yeah, but there is, of course, some really good food, Armenian food. Let's see. I'm trying to say, let's see. Can't talk. It's okay. I'll be able to teach Korean even if I can't speak English. Canada. Nice. Pakistan. I know a little bit about Pakistan, but it's really half of what I know about Pakistan is from the Seinfeld episode and the actor wasn't even Pakistani, but still, it was a good introduction. I'm sorry. Peru, Minnesota, Nashville, the new capital of America. Really? Is everyone moving to Nashville? And if so, I can tell you the reason. It's that darn good chicken. You better stop making the chicken and then we'll stop moving there. Romania, Biguk. Paulina, you say Portugal has nice beaches. Interesting. Minnesota. Nice. Naj says you're from Slovenia. That was another one of the countries I thought was fictional from Marvel movies until I looked it up and realized I'm just dumb. Nice. I can't pronounce it, but that sounds really cool. Ryan asks, have you been to Minnesota? I've never been to Minnesota. Romania, Algeria, another Romania. Nice. A few people from Romania. There's got to be something cool in Romania too, right? So many countries in Europe that I only know the name, but know like nothing about. Oh wait, Romania. I can tell you about Romania. Isn't that, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Romania like the birthplace of Dracula? Hold on, I have to check. Do I actually know something? Oh my, yes it is. I knew it. It's Vlad the Impaler. Romania. You've got Dracula, okay? I actually know that my older sister went there before. So I do know a little bit about Romania by proxy through her. Okay. Let's play Billy tries to guess something about the country without knowing anything about it at the same time. Let's see who else. Miami. How's the weather? Isn't there another hurricane going there now? I guess I could say that pretty much any time of the year though, can't I? Hey, Miami, isn't there another hurricane or something? Anywhere in Florida, pretty much. I'm from Romania, but live in the USA. Nice. Poland recently deals a lot with Korea, you say, Paulina. We bought the insane amount of tanks Oh, is that from Korea? Nice. Let's see. Dawid says there are many people from Europe. Would you consider doing the classes a bit earlier? Then I wouldn't be able to have people from Korea watch. That's the issue. I'm trying to make it accessible to people who live in Korea, who are studying Korean. And right now it is like 5:44 a.m., but it'll start at like 6. So if I were to do it any earlier, it would be impossible for any of them to tune in. But at least this way they can wake up early, 6 o'clock, maybe 6:30, and they can still catch the lesson. EMS, you ask if there are any North Koreans who watch my channel. Yeah, there are, but I don't know who. But I can check on my YouTube analytics. Has a feature to let you see how many people are watching your videos from what countries. And yeah, I sometimes have seen North Korea listed toward the bottom with like, how many views over the entire year. They would have like 7 views came from North Korea. Now, was it someone using a VPN in North Korea for some reason? That would make no sense, but sure. I would like to think that there are some people in North Korea who know about my content, and which is, one of the reasons why I can never visit North Korea, because I'm worried they might really like me there, so much that they might not want to let me go. So yeah, it's Paulina. Yeah, it's Kim Incognito. I'd guess it's someone in the government who searches stuff, or who knows. Let's see, where else is everyone from? I'm just going back up a little bit. I missed a few. I saw someone say New Jersey. Uzbekistan. Yes, I have heard about Uzbekistan. But I don't know about it, but I've heard about it. Let's see. North Korea has YouTube. Yes, but as a fellow Korean learner to another Korean learner, don't watch it. Don't support that kind of thing. Like, there is some propaganda content out there, so you can find some stuff that is designed to influence your opinion about the country. Don't fall for that sort of stuff. I'll just say that. I don't want to talk extensively about it, but use your brain. Hi from Israel. Nice. Danique asks, have you ever been to the Netherlands? Nope. I've never been to Europe, period. I've never been anywhere in Europe before because, drumroll please, I don't have that kind of money. It's really expensive to fly there. Not the air flight. I could probably save up enough, over a few months to go there. The problem is once I arrive, I would need to pay for a hotel and food. And once I paid for the hotel, it's going to be thousands and thousands of dollars because all of the rooms, all of the hotels there would be hundreds of dollars a night. It would be a very big financial expense to go to Europe. So someday I would love to visit Europe. I want to go to France. I've never been. I studied French for over 5 years. I can't say I've never been to France before in French, but I've never been there. I would love to go to Germany, Spain, Netherlands. Where else is there? Everywhere. I want to just go all around everywhere. Romania would be cool to go to also. Yeah. Ireland, Trinidad. Awesome. Toronto, Canada, Philippines, Ireland. Princess Barbie says, you're from Jordan. Of course I've heard of Jordan. The best basket player of all. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, of course I've heard of Jordan. Uki Bear. Oh, hey, Uki Bear. I see your content on Instagram a lot. Keycat has been bugging me. She wants to meet up with you sometime. Let's see here. Aniki asks, our new member Aniki, will you ever write a book only in Korean? No. Probably not. That would be very difficult to do. There's a difference between speaking fluent Korean and writing a book all by yourself in Korean. And I know very few people who can write a book in Korean who aren't a Korean native speaker. One of them is Tyler. Tyler is a famous Korean-speaking foreigner living in Korea. And I don't know how he did it. It's incredible, but it's not something I'm trying to do. Morocco. Philippines. Oh, the Philippines would be really cool. I actually have some Filipino currency. I have some pesos. My friend gave me like a $5 bill when he went there. And he said, here, this will pay for your room for like a few nights if you ever go there. So I'm like, cool. I still have it. I don't know if I'll ever visit there. If I have a reason to go there, like maybe I want to visit, Manila, or is that how you pronounce it? Or Cebu? Whichever one is the one that all the foreigners go to. I think it's Cebu. Anyway, check out the beaches there, food, maybe someday, but no plans right now. Okay, a few more comments. I'm glad I started early today. We still have another 10 more minutes. Let's see. Oh, and then Uki Bear, you also asked, isn't it expensive to live in Korea? Yes and no. If you're visiting there, yes, because you are required to pay the tourist prices for everything you do. For example, you don't know how to go from one location to another location. If you don't, then you're going to look for the most convenient way to do it. And that could be a more expensive train. Whereas the local living there would probably just take a bus, which takes an extra 30 minutes, but it's half the price. You would have to stay at an Airbnb as a tourist because the person who you're renting from knows you're only there for a few days. They don't know if you're going to mess up their place. So you have to pay like $50 to $100 a night minimum to get a cheap, not very nice place. Whereas if you live in Korea, you could get an entire month of rent at the same place for a few $100s. So that's the difference between living there temporarily and actually permanently living there. So yeah. And then if you live there, if you're visiting, where are you going to get lunch and dinner? You're going to find nice restaurants. You're going to search which places have the best reviews. And you're going to the places that charge more money because more tourists go there. Versus if you were a Korean, what's your lunch? Well, you have a rice cooker in your kitchen. You can go to the store and buy some sides or meet your friend and go to a small restaurant and just chat. You're not going to be looking at the reviews, or go to a local place where all of the old men go to eat lunch. These sorts of things. Or maybe you'll know about what are called 기사식당. 기사식당 is literally driver restaurant, and those are the inexpensive but good quality food restaurants that taxi drivers typically will stop at to get lunch. So they don't want to spend a lot of money or a lot of time, but they want something good. So those are called 기사식당. Now, the restaurants are not called 기사식당. So if you see something that's labeled that, it's not. But this just means any sort of restaurant that's more local. And I like visiting those too sometimes. You can get really good food. You get lots of stares because you'll be the only non-Korean person there, and the only person usually under 40 years old there. But yeah. So it really depends. Are you living there, or just staying there? And if you're living there, Korea is less expensive than living in other places, assuming you're not trying to live the same lifestyle you would have in another country. So you're not going to be, cranking your air conditioner 24/7. You're not going to be in a gigantic, 2,000, 3,000 square foot place. You're not going to be eating sushi every single day, right? But if you live a Korean lifestyle, then yeah, it's going to be fairly cheap. And you can get by with a little bit of money. Just a few $100s a month, you could pay for your rent and your food and stuff like that. And then anything on top of that is where you can have fun or save up your money or use it for, to have a better lifestyle. Paulina says, we are all kisa. Yeah, let me write that up. I'm just going to go over really quick the prerequisites for this lesson. It's advanced, but I'm going to make it simple. So yes, you're learning an advanced level Korean topic today, but you don't have to be advanced level to take notes and follow along. So you should at least, though, be familiar with the 면 form, meaning if or when. It's hypothetical. So let's say this happens. That's your 면 form. Preferably, you want to also be familiar with this version, 더라면. That's if something had happened, 더 being past tense, 라면, not being the delicious food, ramen, but da from ida. So if it had been is what you get. It's a hypothetical past tense form. Same usage though overall as 면. If you're familiar with this, great. If not, I'll mention it again. And then 뻔하다 being the grammar form meaning to almost do something by accident. Now we're going to have a quick review of that in the beginning of the lesson, but if you already know it, that'll save you some time. So really quick, the word I mentioned before is 기사식당. 기사 meaning a driver. It's also the word, although different 한자, it's also the word used for a knight, like knight with a K. There's a I can't remember the name. There's some new drama that has the name in it. Anyway, yeah, so driver restaurant, literally. Driver cafeteria. And that's what you want to look for. But it won't be in the name. It won't be in the title. You can't search for it on Naver Maps. You have to search for it by looking at people's blogs and reading what sorts of restaurants they recommend for this. If you see the menu prices and they're expensive, it's not a 기사식당. It's just someone trying to be a 기사식당, calling themselves that. Like, oh, we're the place that the drivers go to. You can tell. If you walk in and you feel like you shouldn't be there, you're in the right place. And then there's another word that's kind of similar, I guess on the same track as 기사식당, and that is the word 혜자. Now, this is actually a person's name. There's a lady by the name of Kim 혜자, and that's where this comes from. But 혜자 is used as a noun by itself, so you don't really need to know this, but it's used as, they say something is a 혜자. 완전 혜자예요. 혜자다. 혜자야. 혜자입니다. Like that. Although it's a kind of casual word, it's not necessarily slang, but it's not a formal word. And this means something that is good food, but reasonably or inexpensively priced. So if you see something like, oh wow, it's like they give you a huge portion and it's only 3,000 won, like less than $3. You can say, oh, that's totally 혜자. Yeah. And there's an opposite word for it as well, but it's not used very much, so you don't need to know it. But just 혜자 is pretty common. Okay, let me check the chat, see what else we got. Princess Barbie says, that's why whenever you travel, you got to have a local friend there to help you out. Preferably, if you're visiting Korea, I highly recommend you know someone there. So make a friend before you go. If you can meet friends every single day, you'll have a much better experience than if you go by yourself. Now, if you can already speak fluent Korean, you don't need that. But still, even myself, when I go to Korea, I don't like spending time by myself very much. I like getting lunch or breakfast or something in the morning by myself. I like going out and, buying something from the store. What is this? I like doing some things by myself, but the majority of things that I do, I like doing together with another Korean person because you have a better experience. Traveling places. Okay. And let's see, what else do we need to know? Okay, so there is we have an active Discord channel. Let me just put that in here, where you can join to hang out with other Korean learners. We always get a flood of new members every Sunday when I do these live streams, but I'll post it again. Feel free to hang out there. There's a book club going on. I don't know exactly when they're doing it next, but they have a book club where they read like a Korean book together and get pronunciation feedback. And it's really cool. I've seen them do it a bunch of times. They do like live classes over there in the Discord as well, all free. So check that out. You can join it, ask questions, share your favorite resources, exchange, Korean entertainment resources if you'd like as well. Anything like that is fair game, totally free and always open. And what other announcements do we have to make before we start? Just making sure I'm getting everything. Oh yeah, and then next Sunday, there is no live stream. So next Sunday will be the week off. So my schedule for live streams, and you can find that anytime by checking the Google Doc, which I have it linked again in the description below. The Google Doc has all of the live streams that I've ever done. So you can check for all the classes anyway, all the classroom live streams I've ever done, plus future ones. So you can see when is the next one coming up. This Sunday, 1 week from today, there is no class, but the next Sunday after that, we'll have 2 more. So Paulina, what am I drinking? This is the last of some expired tea that I got several years ago as a Christmas gift. But honestly, with tea, I can't tell if it's expired or not. It tastes the same. I'm not a tea fan. I just drink it because I want something warm for my throat, so I'm not coughing. And tea is the only thing I can think of because warm water just sounds lame. But yeah. Kapdori says, in Taejongdae in Busan, it's cool to have fresh fish and soju in the morning at the sea with old Korean people. I've never tried that before. I've been there before, but I've never tried that before. I've seen it. Actually, I should say I've seen it. Mike says, I liked that Hyunwoo showed up in your video when you guessed their time learning. Yeah, so Hyunwoo was actually at the fan meeting the whole time. And so he was like, you know, talking with everyone else during the fan meeting. And then when I was filming the interview, I was like, you have to be in this as well. So yeah, we invited him, as, of course, into the video to help out. And yeah, it worked out great. Traga says, Americans don't like water. It's kind of true. Now, I like water, but I don't like just warm water. I like really cold water. I'm a fan of really cold water. So like add ice to it and put it in the refrigerator. That sort of cold water. But if it's something warm, I don't want to just drink water. It feels like boring. I'd rather have something with something in it. So at least I'll have like barley tea or corn tea or durungji tea or something like that instead of just water if I have to have it warm or room temperature. Paulina says, I always drink cold tap water. I used to drink tap water all the time, and then I got used to drinking filtered water because we have to start the lesson. But in Korea, no one drinks tap water. No one drinks tap water in Korea. You don't see it. Because in the old days, I'm sorry, I'm taking a little bit of the time from the lesson. In the old days, and until recently, plumbing was not so good in Korea in most houses. They had older plumbing that couldn't handle toilet paper, so you couldn't even flush your toilet. If there was anything in the toilet paper, you had to throw away your toilet paper in a separate trash can. And pipes were old, and you know, they'd let dirt and stuff like dust and, you know, pieces of the pipe and everything would go through the pipe. So drinking tap water was not considered safe until maybe the early 2000s or late 1990s. Somewhere, I might be messing it up. It could be before then, but at least by the early 2000s that was fixed. But the idea in Korean people's minds is still today that tap water is not safe to drink or is less healthy to drink. And filtered water is safer because it filters out all the bad stuff. In reality, all of Seoul's water is completely safe to drink. You can drink the toilet water, although no one would, but the water flowing around is completely safe. And the pipes are also more up to date. Even the older houses, the pipes aren't that bad that you can't drink the water. So it's okay. But still, people don't do it. So I have a few times had tap water in Korea, but usually I don't. I just have filtered water now because people will look at you weird if you drink it. They'll be like, why are you drinking the tap? Oh, you don't have to drink that. I'll give you filtered water. That sort of mentality. Just so you know, when you go there, you're not going to see people drinking tap. They'll always have at least a filter on the tap water. Okay. Oh, Aniki. Hey, thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Can I click that? Woohoo. Aniki. Aniki is our sponsor today. Just supported with $5 donation. Thank you so much, Aniki. 감사합니다. Okay, so let's get started with our lesson today. We have an advanced level lesson, as I said. I'm so surprised you all picked the advanced topic. So today's topic is actually threefold. We have 3 topics to learn today. The first one is going to be a review of a form that I've covered before, but we're going to go over it again. and that is 뻔하다. Now, there is a different verb, 뻔하다, by itself, which is not used with this grammar form. And if you use 뻔하다, it means obvious or of course. Like, that's so apparent. That's so obvious. 너무 뻔해. That's totally, I knew that. That's not the form we're talking about today. This one, I did a full live stream about it back in September of 2022. So if you want to get a longer review of it, check that out. Today, we're going to do a really quick overview. So you take an action verb stem and you attach a if the action verb stem ends with a consonant, or you attach just a lir if the action verb stem ends with a vowel, followed by 뻔하다. Now, you can say 뻔하다 with or without a space after this part. So, if we take the verb 하다, to do, well, the stem of 하다 is just ha. That ends in a vowel, so we attach a lir. You can have 할 뻔하다 or 할 뻔하다 with or without a space. They're both the same. I recommend the space so it's easier to read, but they're both considered correct. Let's see, what else do you need to know? Oh yeah, so this form, 뻔하다, means that something almost happened. Now, it didn't happen, but hypothetically, if something had gone wrong, it almost happened, right? And this is something that the speaker did not intend. So you're not going to use this to say, oh, I almost won the lottery. Wait, no, that could work. I almost successfully passed my test. Like, you wouldn't use it for something that the speaker was trying to do. You would use it to say, actually, that could still be because you failed at it. It would be anything that you didn't intend. So if you can think of an example of something that you intend, I can't think of one right now, something that you're trying to do and that you intended to do. Oh yeah, okay, so I didn't buy fish from the supermarket, but I almost bought fish. It wouldn't be like that. It's something that you didn't intend to do. That's a terrible example, but nothing's coming to mind right now. There are some more examples in the live stream I did because there's a different form you use, 겨우, for anything that you almost did intentionally. Anyway. 놓칠 뻔했어요. Okay? So, this means that something almost happened, but it didn't. So it's not something you intended. And this form is often used together with the past tense if form. So let me show you what that would look like. You would have something, something, past tense, 으면. So if something happened, then you almost would have done something. This is the way it's most often used, is with some sort of past tense if statement, and then 뻔하다. 뻔하다 itself is pretty much almost always conjugated to the past tense. So that can be 했다, or 했어, 했어요, 했네, 했네요, 했죠. Anything like that in the past tense is how it's going to be conjugated. Alternatively, instead of this form for the past tense, oh, I got a donation. 갑돌이. Hey, 갑돌이, thanks for the super sticker. 갑돌이 is our second sponsor for today. 갑돌이. Yeah, I'm reading that correctly. The letters are really small. I think I read it correctly. And yeah, I just checked. Okay, thank you so much, both of our sponsors today, Aniki and 갑돌이. All right, so this is another form that it's used with, which has a similar meaning as the past tense if. And that is 더라면. 더라면 is also a past tense if form, it means if it had, and is more hypothetical sounding than the regular if you did form. So either one of these plus 뻔하다 conjugated into the past tense. This is the most common way you'll see this form used. I definitely recommend writing this down. You're going to see this like not every sentence. There are other ways you can use it, but this is the most standard way to use it. I've also seen, since this is an advanced lesson, I've also seen the 다가 form, like 하다가 뻔했어요 is also pretty common. Like you almost did something while doing something. 하다가, 가다가, like going somewhere. So while you were going there, you almost did that. 가다가 넘어질 뻔했어요. You almost fell over while going there. Like that sort of usage is fine too. But the most common way I see is if you had done this, then you almost, or if I had done this, then I almost did something. I would have done something if I did that, is what you get most of the time. Okay. There's one more verb that this is, I shouldn't say verb. There's one more expression that this form, 뻔하다, is commonly used with. 큰일 literally means a big deal, a big thing, something big that happened. 큰일 나다. So something big happens, literally, or there is something serious, or there is a big problem. So normally you can say 큰일 났어요. 큰일 났어요. Oh, there's something big happening. There's a big problem. Oh no. 큰일 났다. Oh no, something happened. This is terrible. That sort of expression. Well, you can often use these two together. 큰일 나다 and 뻔하다. So you would say something like, oh, literally, there almost was a big problem. There almost was something serious. But more naturally, we would just say, oh, that was close. Meaning something big and bad almost happened, but it didn't. And that's not something I intended. So that's how we would say, that was close. Let me write that down. Oops. Yeah, I can still fix this. Okay. 큰일 날 뻔했어요. So it almost was a big deal. It's something big, something that was a big problem. So a big problem almost happened, but didn't. That was close. 큰일 날 뻔했어요. 정말 큰일 날 뻔했어. It was really close. That was so close. Everything was just going to go wrong. Everything was going terribly. Almost. Like that sort of literal meaning. So that was close, as in that was almost a big problem. Okay, so I'm going to give you one sentence and I want you to complete it using this form. Like writing sideways here. Sorry, I have to go to a new line. Okay, I want you to finish this sentence. There's going to be something after here. 방금 얘기해주지 않으셨으면. So, right now, 방금, just now, 얘기하다 is to tell someone. 얘기해주다. So, in this case, it's going to be tell me. It could be tell someone else, but if you didn't tell me just now, 않으셨으면. So, 해주지 않다, to not tell just now. So, 않으셨으면. So you can think of this as 않았으면 if you don't want to worry about the honorific. So if you didn't tell me just now, then you can finish the sentence by saying, I would have forgotten. And the way you do that is by saying, I almost forgot. I can talk about why if you're confused, but we want to finish the sentence by saying, I almost forgot. Okay, let's check the chat for a second. Zandra, yes. Oh, Aniki, did you do $1? Hold on. Oh, okay. It said it's because it showed your country's currency, and it was 5. So I didn't look at the name of the currency though. Either way, I appreciate it, Aniki. Okay, 안쌉니다. Yes. 잊어버릴 뻔했어요. 방금 얘기해주지 않으셨으면 잊어버릴 뻔했어요. Nice, Maya. Oh, 방금. Yeah, it's just a small typo. I actually didn't notice that typo. I'm kind of looking at it sideways. 방금 얘기해주지 않으셨으면 잊어버릴 뻔했어요. Nice, Paulina. And then let's read up. The first person looks like it was Cresthetic. 방금 얘기해주지 않으셨으면 잊어버릴 뻔했어요. Yes, yes. Okay, let's see a few more. Zandria, 방금 얘기해주지. Oh, small typo there. 않으셨으면 잊을 뻔했어요. Yes, very good, Zandria. Okay. I ran out of space there at the end. 방금, just right now. 얘기하다, to tell. 해주지 않으셨으면. So if you didn't tell me just now, if you didn't tell me that just now, 잊어버리다, to forget. 잊어버릴 뻔했어요. So literally, if you didn't tell me that just now, I almost forgot is what you get. But in English, we wouldn't say I almost forgot. We would say would have forgot, because in English we add in things like would have or could have whenever we have what's called a not superlative, not suppository, the type of sentence, I can't think of it, what there's a word for it when it's an if conditional. That's the word I was thinking of. I was way off. Conditional sentence. Okay, let me start again. Anytime we have some sort of if statement in English, we tend to add could or would. Like, if you did that, I would have. But in Korean, they don't need to do that. You simply say, if you didn't, I would have. I almost forgot in this case. Oh, donation. Michael, I just got your book number 1. Oh, thank you so much, Michael. You got my book and you're supporting me separately. Thank you so much. Michael is our 3rd sponsor today. Michael Woodbury. I'll put a W there. Thank you so much, Michael Woodbury. Really appreciate it. Supposition, subjunctive. Yeah, supposition was the word I was trying to think of. Okay. Traga asks, why is it 잊어버릴 and not 잊을? They both work. 잊어버리다 simply has the 버리다 ending attached to it. And the 버리다 ending for a really condensed lesson simply adds emotion to your sentence. So it's like, I lost it. Or, I forgot. Versus just, I forgot. That's it. So 있다 and losing, forgetting, those sorts of things like missing tend to get used with 버리다 a lot more than they don't. But you could say 있다 as well, like 잊었어요, I forgot. But usually they get used with 잊어버렸어요. Oh, I totally forgot. You can kind of think of it like saying totally, like you're trying to add in some emotion as part of your apology for forgetting or emphasizing that you forgot, versus things where you just say I forgot, which can be okay in certain situations. Like, I heard that they forgot that, so that's why the meeting didn't happen. It adds in a little more emotion. But I have a separate lesson about that if you're interested as well. 까먹다 also works. 까먹다, however, is slang. So you would not use that in a polite setting. It's not rude. I don't mean it's rude when I say it's slang, but you would use that whenever you're not speaking, when you're not trying to sound extra polite. So you can use that to your friends or anyone. Anyone is okay, but in a casual situation, not if you're trying to meet someone like important for the first time, or you're giving a speech to a bunch of people, or you want to give off a really good impression to your new parent-in-laws, something like that. Other than that, it's okay. 방금 얘기해주지 않으셨으면 잊어버릴 뻔했어요. So, if you hadn't just told me now, I would have forgotten. Or literally, I almost forgot if you didn't tell me right now. If you look at it like that, it makes more sense. I almost forgot if you didn't tell me right now. Oh, I got another donation, another sponsor today. This is great. Dimitri. Hey, Billy, I just wanted to thank you and say how I appreciate you as a teacher. I'm motivated every day to learn. 감사합니다. Oh, thank you so much, Dimitri. Dimitri. Oh, wow. Six. I'll convert it to $6. I don't know the exact conversion for that. Yeah, thank you so much, Dimitri. Our fourth sponsor for today. Okay. So again, look at the sentence backward when you're translating it. It'll make more sense. I would have forgot, or actually literally, I almost forgot if you didn't just tell me now, is what you get. But we would say in English, if you hadn't just told me right now, I would have forgotten. Okay, so that is everything you need for the, are we actually on time? That is everything you need for the 뻔하다 form. If you want to learn more about that form and you want more examples, I did a full live stream September of last year. You can still find the outline, the worksheet, the live stream, the abridged version, everything is in the Google Doc. Oh yeah, I still do dabs. I just forgot. But if you want any dabs, anyone who donates, if you want dabs, let me know. I will cash those for you. I can exchange, the exchange rate is $1 per dab. So I will exchange these to dabs if you would like. Just ask. On the Google document I just linked, you can find the live stream for that. 뻔하다. So if you want more, there's more. But really, that's it. There's no more. If you want to know the form. Now you know the form. Okay. So let's go on to our main topic for today. Now, I know you're just dying to know the original form of this, as well as where it came from historically, how it evolved into its current form. I'm going to tell you. Originally, 하마터면 is not a random sound. Originally, it comes from a word 하마터면. Now, this form, 하터면, is a form of 하다, the verb to do that you know today. 더 is the older form of past tense. Now, today we use these two letters. You see, 했어요, for example. That's what we use for past. But 더 is also used for past tense for some grammar forms today. But it used to be used as the normal past tense of verbs. You would add in 더 and then other stuff at the end. So 하더면 is the equivalent in modern Korean of saying 했으면. I wrote that really small. So 하더면. So we have 하마 했으면. The reason that this changed is because of the 히읗 here. Now, 히읗, when it comes before a base consonant, so like 디귿 in this case here, or 기역, it makes it into a strong consonant. And you probably know that. If you have the verb 많다, well, this is pronounced as not 많다, but 많다. So you get the sound of 많다. The same thing happens when you have a 히읗 sound here. So in this case, the 히읗 met with the 티읕, 티귿. I can speak Korean. I promise I can speak Korean. The 히읗 met with the 티귿 here, and you get a 티읕 sound. 터면. That's what it is. This is not only in this word, though. If you've never seen this kind of thing before, it's actually really common. Just really quick, if you have a word that ends with 하지, it's common to see it be shrunk to chi. And you might know some words that end with chi. If the end of the word is 하고, it becomes 코. And you might know some words that end with 코, 결코. There's a bunch of them. 하게, adjective form, can become in some cases, when it's shortened, 개. So you might see that as well. And here, 하마터면, 하마하더면 becomes 하마터면. It's the same sort of shortening that's due to the 히읗 sound. So now you know why it's 터면 and not 터면 anymore. Okay, but we're not done. So then, I know all of you were just waiting for this explanation, so I'm not going to skip a single iota. I'm not going to skip anything. We're going to learn everything about this form. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. What is hama? Well, it's not a hippopotamus, I'll tell you that. The word for hippopotamus is hama, but that's not this word. This is unrelated. Hama is a now rarely used word. It's an older word, but it still pops up sometimes. I don't know. You'd have to ask a native Korean if they see it. I've never seen it, but I'm not a native speaker, so I'm sure it still appears here and there. Hama is a word that means by chance. Or possibly. So we get the meaning of if something were by chance. If by chance is what we get. So it's not a full sentence. It's a word, an adverb specifically, used together with the 뻔하다 form to add emphasis to it. Before I go any further, let me just verify that it's an adverb, because I just said it's an adverb. Yeah, okay. I don't want, because it's possible that it's considered a phrase and not an adverb, but I'm guessing an adverb. It is correct. It is an adverb. Okay. So that is the origin. Yeah, Traga says like 혹시. Yeah, not exactly like 혹시, but I mean, not the same meaning, but similar idea, like 혹시. So 혹시라면, so if by chance, is kind of what you get. So this adds emphasis to the form 뻔하다. And that means it's only used in a sentence that has 뻔하다. You're not going to use this in other sentences by itself. You're not going to use it like you might use 혹시 by chance, because this has to be used with that form. It's an emphatic adverb that's specifically used with this form. This also adds a feeling to the sentence of relief. So when you use this along with 뻔하다, it doesn't just feel like, oh, something almost happened, but it kind of feels like, oh, something almost happened. This adds the feeling of relief from having barely escaped some sort of dangerous situation. Like, oh man, we were so close, with emphasis. So that's what this does. And this is completely optional. You do not need to use 하마터면 when you use 뻔하다. But if you use 하마터면, your sentence is going to have 뻔하다 in it. So when you hear 하마터면 in a sentence, your brain should immediately feel relief. Like, oh, it didn't happen. Oh, thank goodness. Phew. That's the feeling you get right when you hear it. And then as the rest of the sentence comes in with 뻔하다, it connects together. You're like, that's what I was feeling relief about. And 하마터면 is not the only sort of word like this that adds emphasis to a specific grammar form. Another one you might be familiar with is 만약 or 만약에. 만약에 is another similar word that's used to add emphasis to any sentence that has if, so any sort of 면 in it. If you hear 만약, this is going off topic, but anyway, you can look that up if you want to know. But yeah, so once you hear this in a sentence, it has that feeling of like, phew, you're relieved. Something, we barely escaped some sort of bad situation. Okay, let me tell you what this means then. So literally, this is kind of what it means. But another way to think of it is like this. Yeah. In fact, I copied this from Naver Dictionary. This is the official translation for how you can think of 하마터면. 조금만 잘못했더라면. So, 더라면, past tense, hypothetical. So, if saying we had, 잘못하다 is to make a mistake. So, a little bit, 조금만, even just a little bit. If we had made a mistake, just a tiny bit, even if we had made or I had made one small mistake, then 뻔하다, we would have almost done this, is what you get when it's combined together. So it adds more emphasis, not just, oh, if you didn't tell me right now, I would have forgotten. But, you know, if you didn't tell me right now, if I had just made that one small mistake, or if you had just made that one small mistake, I was so close to having forgotten. It adds emphasis to the fact that there was some sort of danger and that you escaped that. Okay. So now that you know what this is, let's use it. I want you to make every single sentence I have for 하마터면 for this lesson, every single sentence made by you. The first one, I almost missed the bus. I almost missed the bus. And we want the emphasis of not just, I almost missed the bus. Oh, man, I was so close to missing the bus. If I was just 1 second later, I was so close to missing the bus. So we want to say, I almost missed the bus, but we want to add that sort of emphasis. So how would we say that? I want you to make every sentence I have here. I have 6 sentences. Go ahead. I was so close to missing the bus. I almost missed the bus. Oh, and I should tell you, one more thing you need to know is that 하마터면 will typically come at the very beginning of the sentence. So although it's an adverb, it's used at the beginning of the sentence to add in that feeling of relief right away. You know in Spanish how sometimes when they have a question, they'll put the question mark at the beginning of the sentence? So you know it's a question even before you start reading it. This is kind of the same idea. You have it at the beginning of a sentence so that you know going forward, that's the kind of sentence this is going to be before you even have to reach the 뻔하다 fart. I almost said 뻔하다 fart because I was saying, anyway, the part of the sentence with 뻔하다 in it. So yeah, there, now you know. Okay, let's see. Has anyone already attempted it? Zendri making a terrible dad joke. Paulina says, is it for speaking or writing? It's for both. I'll say it's not super commonly used in speech, but it is if you want to emphasize it a lot. You can add it. Paulina is first. 하마터면 버스를 놓칠 뻔했어요. Perfect. Let's see. Maya. 하마터면 버스를 놓칠 뻔했어요. Perfect. Zandria. 하마터면 버스를 놓칠 뻔했어. Perfect. Okay. 하마터면 버스를 놓칠 뻔했어요. Nice. Aniki. Perfect. Okay, now let's check a few of the others. Interesting, my green members are some of the first people to get the sentences as well. Cool. 하마터면 버스 놓칠 뻔했어요. Nice, Olivia. I'm just going to read the other ones really quick. Nice, Maria. Nice, baby Buddha Luna. Let's see, I'm doing by myself. Perfect. Nice. Okay. Make sure I got that right. Yep. One small note. Many words that come from English or from other languages are written with a regular consonant at the beginning, but are pronounced with a double consonant. This is unofficial, but literally everyone does it. So, for example, the word bus is pronounced as ba, not posse. It's not posse, it's bosse. Cafe is written as kape with a strong kiok, but it's pronounced actually as ga, not kape, but gape. You can say kape, but it sounds almost wrong, even though that's the correct way. So this is just a common thing to pay attention to. The word service, 서비스, is pronounced as 서비스 with a double letter. So yeah, 버스. Okay. 하마터면. So if I had just messed up a tiny bit, if I wasn't perfect in everything that I did this morning, 버스를 놓칠 뻔했어요. 놓치다, to miss. So I almost missed the bus if I hadn't been careful. Even a tiny bit. So I was this close to missing the bus. 하마터면 버스를 놓칠 뻔했어요. So I almost missed the bus. But the feeling we get is 하마터면. Oh, I was so close to 버스를 놓칠 뻔했어요. I was so close to missing the bus. Okay. So you can see that 하마터면 sets the expectation for the sentence so that when the listener hears it, they know, oh, something bad almost happened. It didn't, and the speaker is relieved, but it almost did. Right when you hear 하마터면, you know that. Okay, so that's why it's important. It's not a useless word, even though it's completely optional. You can make the same sentence, 버스를 놓칠 뻔했어요. I almost missed the bus. It has the same meaning as adding 하마터면 or not. So beginners will just not add it, and intermediates will just not add it because it's not necessary. But the feeling you get is more emphasis. So this just gives you another option if you want to add more emphasis to your speech. All right, the next example. Oh, I was so close to forgetting that. I really almost forgot. Now, there are many ways you can say this. There are 4 ways I can think of to say forget in Korean. Which one you choose is up to you. 잊다, 잊어버리다. 까먹다. Oh, 잊어먹다. There's 5 actually. 깜빡하다. Yeah, there are 5. 3 separate ones, but then 2 extra by those endings. Okay, let's see. Oh, hey, Nikki. How's it going? Paulina says we need perfect. Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that again. I promise, for this next set. Okay, let's see. Lucy Saw asks, how formal is this grammar form? Would it be considered impolite? This is not impolite. Emotional does not make your sentence polite or impolite. This is not an emotional ending. This adds emotion, if that makes sense. Not in a bad way. It's simply the feeling of relief is what you get with this sentence. But it's not in the literal usage of this form that it has an emotional meaning, like 버리다 does. This form just gives you that sort of feeling, like it was so close to happening, it didn't. Therefore, it's kind of a relief when you say it. No, it's completely fine to use. This form, I would say, is more toward formal. It's not formal, but it's more toward formal than informal. So you wouldn't use this. You're not going to use this to like your closest friends usually, but but it's okay to use for regular speech. It's okay to use for formal speech. Okay, let's see here. All right, well, the sentence. So we have, I almost forgot. Paulina has the first one. 하마터면 잊어버릴 뻔했어요. Perfect. 아내키, 하마터면 까먹을 뻔했네. Perfect. 트라이가, 하마터면 잊어버릴 뻔했어요. Perfect. 하마터면, Sandra. Try again. You're missing something, Sandra, but your sentence is perfect. You're just missing something. Oh, and 뻔하다 is connected. The space can be removed after the verb, but 뻔하다 itself doesn't have a space in it. 하마터면 잊어버릴, okay, Maria McNeil, nice, perfect. Maya, 하마터면 잊어버릴 뻔했어요. Perfect. Lexica, perfect. Anselmida, perfect. I like that people are using various kinds of forget. It's kind of cool. Okay, just a few more seconds, then we're going to go to the next sentence. 갑돌이, 하마터면 잊어버릴 뻔했어요. Perfect. I'll try to do it a little lower. I think I can do this perfect a little bit lower next time. Let's see, how are we on time? 39, not terrible. Okay, Xandria. Oh, Xandria! The ending of ita is using the or a lir. Try one more time. I'm not gonna let you go until you get this. We're not moving on to the next sentence. 하마터면 깜빡할 뻔했어요. Perfect. That's actually really close to what I have for the sentence. Oh yeah, that's the same thing that I had on my paper. Okay, let's see. I'm going to start writing it here. Okay, Zandria, 하마터면 잊을 뻔했어요. Perfect. Oh, you've been saying 있다 as 있지? Oh, 잊을. So not 잊을, but 잊을. Since after a consonant or just a lir after a vowel. So you want this one. Not lir, but Yeah, don't worry about it. Okay. I knew a guy who was pronouncing 감사합니다 wrong for over a year. Like this guy had been learning Korean for over a year. And I'm not laughing at him because as a learning mistake as much as it was like the guy never ever once thought about maybe it was wrong. And I think he was laughing too when he discovered. Yeah, he was saying 감사합니다. I think is what he was saying. No. He was saying 감사합니다. That's right. 감사합니다. He's saying 감사합니다 to someone. I'm like, what are you saying? It's 감사. Anyway, yeah, it's possible for that sort of thing. Okay, 하마터면. If I wasn't more careful, I guess I'd say, if I was any less careful, 깜빡하다 is to forget, to momentarily forget. 깜빡할 뻔했어요. 하마터면 깜빡할 뻔했어요. So I was so close to having forgotten. If I was just a little bit not careful, I would have forgotten. I was so close to forgetting. 하마터면 깜빡할 뻔했어요. Okay, next sentence. I almost got my socks wet. 젖다 is the verb you're going to use for this. This is an intransitive verb, int. That means it's not a transitive verb. It doesn't use an object marker. So if you want to say something is wet, you would use a different marker. You wouldn't say like, for example, we're going to say socks. I almost got my socks wet. But if we were to say shoes wet, you wouldn't say 신발을 with an object marker because 젖다 is not to make wet. That is 적시다. That's a different word. 젖다 is to be wet. So you would have to say 신발이 젖다, for example. Or like 손이 젖었어요. My hands were wet. So it's an intransitive verb, meaning it's not doing anything to another object. Therefore, it can't be used with the object marker. Okay, so that's the verb you want to use. I'm not giving you anything else. Make it yourself. I almost got my socks wet. You say 하마터면 is only used because of the speaker? No, it's just a situation. It's that relief. But it could be said like, oh, someone else almost did this if you weren't careful. Like, it also works for that. 양말, 트레가. Yes. 양말이 젖을 뻔했어요. Perfect. Let's see, Zendria. 양말이 젖을 뻔했어요. Perfect. But you want to add 하마터면. But again, you don't have to. It's optional. But if you wanted to, go ahead and write it as well. You can write it on your notes how you would add it with 하마터면. But yes, your sentence is perfect. Okay, Paulina. 하마터면 양말. Paulina as well. Paulina. Intransitive verb. Very close though. You're only one syllable away from a perfect sentence. Let's see. 아내키. Yes. 하마터면 양말이 젖을 뻔했어요. Perfect. Maria McNeil as well. Intransitive verb. Keep that in mind. Maya. Perfect. Lexica. Perfect. Let's read a few other sentences real quick. Paulina, yes, perfect. Typo, but yeah, you know. Not 면했어요, but 뻔했어요. Yeah, you got it. You saw it. Aniki, you could say 양말을 젖게 하다. I made my socks get wet. I almost made my socks get wet. But can you say that in English? Yeah. Does it sound natural in English? No. But it makes sense. So if you really need to convey that and you just can't think of how to say it, but you know this verb, but you forgot that it's intransitive, then, or maybe you didn't want to use it as intransitive. Sure, you could say 양말 젖겠어요. I made my socks get wet. And some situations could work for that. Like maybe there is a lever, and if you pull this lever, it pours water on your socks. And if you pour this lever, it pours dirt on your socks. So you choose to make your socks wet by pouring the water. Yeah, that works in that context. Otherwise, if you mean you got your socks wet, you wouldn't use it. If that helps kind of clarify. It works, but it's not what you would typically use. Okay. 양말이 젖을 뻔했어요. Nice, 갑돌이. Perfect. Okay. Let me give you a sentence. And actually, most of you got the exact sentence I had anyway. Oops. 하마터면, if I wasn't as careful as I was, if I had just made one mistake, 양말이 젖다, socks get wet, 젖을 뻔했어요. My socks almost got wet. My socks were so close to getting wet. Woo! Like I almost stepped in something. I was like a centimeter away from getting my socks wet. 양말이 젖을 뻔했어요. 하마터면 양말이 젖을 뻔했어요. If I hadn't been as careful as I was, I would have gotten my socks wet. Okay, next sentence. I almost hit my head. Whoa, I almost hit my head. That was so close. I almost hit my head. The verb you want for hit your head is 박다. Now this one's transitive. You say hit your head. Now it doesn't mean like you hit your head. You're not hitting it 손으로 치다. You're not hitting it with your hand. Getting it hit. Bumped. So this verb means like to bump. So I almost bumped my head. Like maybe you're walking and someone like is carrying this big beam. Maybe it's like an I-beam and they're just swinging it around and you're not paying attention, but you just so happen to duck to like tie your shoes. Like, oh, 하마터면? I almost hit. Oh, I was so close to hitting my head. If I had like looked up 1 millisecond before. Don't ask why someone's swinging an I-beam around. Ask why you didn't stand up a second earlier. Okay. Paulina, 하마터면 머리를 박을 뻔했어요. Perfect. Traga also perfect. Aniki also perfect. Maya also perfect. Zandria, you want to use the 뻔했다 form. 거의 is something that's not, 거의 can be used together with 뻔하다, but it by itself doesn't have the meaning of almost doing something. Instead, 거의 is an adverb that simply means almost or barely, not barely, almost as in close to something, not close to doing something, but close to being something. So you can say, 거의 한국 사람이에요. Like I'm almost Korean. Like that sort of almost. Not as in almost doing something. If you want to say with a verb, almost doing, you have to use that with 뻔하다, like if you almost did something. So you could use 거의 together. And that's also covered in my live stream, which was September of last year. I'm the trouble kid. No, Zandria, if you didn't make these mistakes, then other people who aren't even trying to make their sentences right now would never know. Because I guarantee you that there is someone watching this live stream tomorrow or tonight and they had the same question and they made the same mistake. And they're like, thank God there is Zandria in this chat who's making it instead of me. And then they're going to write down notes like, oh yeah, so glad. Yeah, don't worry about it. You have to make some mistakes. You have to crack some eggs to make an omelet, they say. Chida would be like you almost hit your head, like with your hand or with an object. Like you could say like I almost hit someone, but that would be a different meaning than bumping your head. Okay, and 쌈니다, perfect. As well as lexica, perfect. Yeah, no, don't worry about it. Your sentences make sense too, which is fun. Okay, so let me give you an answer. There are other ways you could say this, although this is probably the best way because it's simple. Okay, 하마터면, if I wasn't as careful as I was, if I had just made one little mistake, 머리를 박다, to bump or to hit your head, boom, on something. 머리를 박을 뻔했어요. So I would have hit my head if I wasn't careful. I was so close to smacking my head on something. 하마터면 머리를 박을 뻔했어요. Which is actually similar to what most of you had in their sentence. Okay, next sentence. I almost stepped on the dog's tail. I almost stepped on the dog's tail. I'm going to give you a couple words. 밟다 is to step on. It's supposed to be pronounced as 밟다. You'll hear lots of people say it incorrectly, but whatever. As 밟다. Whatever. Same thing, but it's supposed to be 밟다 if you're reading the dictionary. 밟다 is to step on something. Or it could just be to step. So, if you're saying step on, you just use it like a regular transitive verb. So like stepped on someone's head is 머리를 밟다. Then you stepped on someone's head. Or like egg, 계란을 밟다. You stepped on an egg or you stepped on the floor or anything like that. So I almost stepped on my dog's tail. Oh, so sad. Or in my case, we have a cat. At least, yeah. Hopefully the cat's doing well. He's like 18. He's over 18 years old now. Yeah, 18 and a half. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. Olivia. 강아지 꼬리를 밟을 뻔했어요. Since you were first, I'll read yours first. You got it? Perfect. Paulina. Now I'm going to read the greens. 강아지 꼬리를 밟을. Oh yeah, there we go. It's really small. I had to 밟을 뻔했어요. Nice. Perfect. Zandria. Perfect. You used 개. So you're wondering about 개 and 강아지? They're both dog. 개 has more of a meaning of like dog, a mutt, a canine. It has more of like an official feeling. Whereas 강아지 is a cuter way. 강아지 literally just means a puppy. But usually people call their big dogs 강아지 as well to sound cute. And 개 kind of sounds more like a negative way of talking about a dog these days. But it's fine. I almost stepped on the dog's tail. I almost stepped on the dog's tail. They're both fine. So yeah, you can use 개 or 강아지 to mean dog. If you're talking about someone's dog, you'd probably use 강아지 just to be more polite, to sound nicer. But yeah, same meaning. 강아지 tail. Yep, that is 꼬리. 꼬리 is tail, like an animal's tail. 개, 강아지, 꼬리를 밟을. Okay, Maya, perfect. Ansel. Oh, first there's 안에키. Perfect. As well, 안에키 for the 개 versus 강아지 word. Ansel, perfect. Lexica. 고양이. Yeah, you could say I almost stepped on the cat. Perfect. 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 Nice, nice. Okay, let me read a few other sentences real quick. Nice, nice, nice. 개꿈. Yeah, dog dream. Yeah, and K is used a lot for things related to dogs as well. But if you're just talking about someone's dog, usually you would use 강아지 nowadays. It's more common to say 강아지 when you're talking about a dog, even if it's a giant dog. If it's someone's pet, you would say 강아지 or your own pet. And then for someone else, for just a random wild, a dog, it's always just K. Okay. Okay. Dog. Let's see. I almost stepped on my dog's tail. I have to fight my hands to slow down because I like writing really fast, even if the only person in the world who can read it is me. But when I'm teaching, I can't do that. So you'll sometimes see it looks natural if you're wondering. Does it look messy? It's a little messy, but it doesn't look unnaturally messy. But the problem is when I'm teaching, I have to keep reminding myself they might not be able to read my messy handwriting, even though a Korean could, Anyway, so I apologize, but this is the best I can do. My handwriting is not very nice in Korean or in English. It's just never been very pretty. Okay. 하마터면 강아지 꼬리를 밟을 뻔했어요. So 하마터면, if I had just made a little mistake, if I had just stepped a little bit more to the right or the left, 강아지 꼬리, the dog's tail. 밟다, here 밟을 뻔했어요. I almost stepped on. 밟다 meaning to step. I almost stepped on my dog's tail. I was so close. Oh, I was so barely close to stepping on my dog's tail. I'm so sorry. 하마터면 강아지 꼬리를 밟을 뻔했어요. Okay. And the next sentence, which is the last sentence for 하마터면, I almost hurt my hand. To injure or to hurt. 자치다. 자치다. It's a transitive verb. So again, it'll use an object. So you'll say something 을 or 를 다치다. Oh, so fast. You are so fast at this. Aniki said, I know K is used in lots of swears too. Yeah, it used to be used in a lot more swears. Nowadays it's used in a couple still commonly. It used to be used in more swears commonly, but yeah. Okay, Paulina. Again, first. 하마터면 손을 다칠 뻔했어요. Perfect. Aniki. 제 손을 다칠 perfect. Traga. Small typo Traga, but see if you can fix it, Traga. Try again. Even though it's a tiny, tiny, tiny typo, I want you to try again just to make sure you know what I'm talking about. Maya, perfect. Ansel, perfect. Zandria, perfect. Lexica, perfect. Okay, now let's check a couple others. I know Kapdori also was a donation giver, a sponsor today. Donation giver. So we're going to check yours as well. Yes, Traga, perfect. 다칠. 갑돌이 하마터면 손을 다칠 뻔했어요. Perfect. People who are sponsors get priority, but everyone else gets checked after the greens. So let's see everyone else's now. Olivia, nice, perfect. Lucy saw, oh yeah, I see. Okay, you fixed it later. Lucy saw, nice, perfect. Emma, Maria, Jess, perfect. Daria, you have, I almost hurt my arm. Perfect. Okay, not hand, but arm. Your sentence is perfect. I can't say anything about it. It's perfect. Awesome, perfect. Okay. We're not done with the lesson though. This is the last sentence for 하마터면, but there's one more thing we have to cover. Oops. See, if I do something like that, it's correct, but it just looks like horrible for if you're trying to learn. Yeah. Okay. 하마터면 손을 다칠 뻔했어요. 다치다, to hurt or to injure. 손, my hand. If I wasn't as careful as I was, I would have injured my hand. So I almost hurt my hand. I almost injured my hand. 하마터면 손을 다칠 뻔했어요. You could have just said 손을 다칠 뻔했어요. I almost hurt my hand, but adding 하마터면 is like, if I had just made one mistake, if I had just moved my hand a little bit more this way or that way, then I would have injured my hand. 하마터면 is not alone. There's another word that has a similar meaning that you can use in place of 하마터면. Does anyone know what it is? Now, if you looked at the description for the live stream today, you can find it. Yeah, let me check the chat real quick. Xandria, is it a big deal that I prefer the space? I mean, it makes it easier for you to read, but it would be wrong. I think it's more common for Koreans not to add spaces than it is for them to add extra spaces. So I wouldn't add it. But if it makes it easier to read, at least add the space between 다칠 and 뻔하다. But don't add the space between 뻔 and 하다 because that will make it incorrect. That's my opinion. But you can add 5,000 spaces and then just say, forget you, Billy. I'm doing life my way. YOLO. Or YOLKO. You only learn Korean once. So it's up to you. Let's see. Okay. Stella's mom. Yes, that's right. I'll post the abridged version later. And the full live stream will also be available as soon as it's over. So yeah, both of these are definitely, and they'll always be up. But the abridged version, if you want the abridged version tonight, you have to join this channel as a member. Then you can watch it tonight as soon as the live stream's over. I'll post the abridged version after a few hours, after I edit it. And then for everyone else, you'll get to watch the abridged version Wednesday or Thursday. Depends on the week, but usually Wednesday or Thursday, it'll be uploaded. So you can watch it then for free as well on the channel. Okay. 자칫하다 is another verb that means to be a little bit wrong or to be a little bit amiss. Just a little bit. So, this word is commonly used in the if form. As either 자칫하면, so if you're just a little bit wrong, or if you're just a little bit miss, or if you're just a little bit amiss. Or as 자칫했더라면. 자칫했더라면, if you were just a little bit wrong, or if you were just a little bit amiss. Both of these meaning if you aren't, or if you weren't more careful. You were so close to have almost done something. So these two are also used in the same way as 하마터면 with 뻔하다. So let me give you an example. Actually, I'll write this down. You can write this down. These can both be used in the same way as 하마터면. They're not the same. I'll talk about that. But if you want to make any sentence that has 하마터면, you could also say 자칫하면 or 자칫했더라면. Oh, well, yeah, you say it's a long word. It's actually just the 자칫했더라면. So 하다, past tense, 더라면, past tense. So if you had, presumably, done something. So hypothetically, if you had done something is what we get. Okay. Let me give you an example. And this is really in the advanced level now, so. Okay. 자칫하면 큰일 날 뻔했어요. Before we had 하마터면. Now we have 자칫하면. 하마터면, I told you, can mean if you just had made a small mistake. And 자칫하면 also means if you were just a little bit wrong, if you are just a little bit amiss. So it has the same meaning and the same usage with 뻔하다. So 자칫하면 큰일 날 뻔했어요. If we aren't careful, or if we weren't careful, that was almost a big problem. Something big and bad almost happened. So that would mean, wow, that was close. If we weren't as careful as we were, it would have just been over. That was so close. The situation we were in was so close. So both of these, so 자칫하면 or 자칫했더라면, can both be used in place of 하마터면 with 뻔하다. However, there is a difference between 하마터면 and 자칫하면 and 자칫했더라면. There is a difference though. 하마터면 is specifically, as we learn, it's specifically about the past. So it's for something that didn't happen, but almost happened past. 하마터면, phew, that's a relief. It didn't happen. I thought it was going to happen, but it didn't happen. So we barely escaped a dangerous situation. It's about the past. 하마터면. 자칫하다, however, is not only for past tense usage. It doesn't have to be used with 뻔하다 either. 자칫하면 just literally means if you're not more careful. It just literally means if you're a tiny bit wrong. If you mess up just a little bit, if you're not careful, is what 자칫하면 means. But it's not only used with 뻔하다. It's not only used when talking about the past tense. So that's the difference. 자칫하면, I'm like trying to mix this word with the verb itself. 자칫하다 is not only used with past tense, but it's also used with present tense and other sentences. So if you're seeing a sentence with 뻔하다, you can switch it. But if it's not 뻔하다, you can't switch it. Okay. So that's all we have for the lesson today. Let's see, really quick announcements. There is a Discord channel where you can interact with other Korean learners. It's active. It's open 24/7. It's free. Make sure to join that. I also have merchandise if you would like to support me. One of my favorite items, should still be there, is this one. You can get this on the store, as well as other branded merchandise. This is my personal favorite one. You might catch me wearing this outside sometimes. Incognito. No one knows it's me. Can I pin that? I don't think it's going to show up. Let's see. I'll just pin a different t-shirt so you can see the shop, but it's not the one I held up, but it's in there. Anyway, other than that, there is no live stream next Sunday, but there will be again the Sunday after that. And you can find the schedule anytime you're curious on the Google document. Where did that go? Put that back. Okay. The Google document has all of the live streams, both current, past, and upcoming. Thank you everyone for coming. And now I'm going to take some questions. So if you have any questions about the lesson or about Korea or Korean in general, feel free to ask those now. I'm going to take questions just for the next 15 minutes or so. Yeah. Let's see here. Traga says, can it be used for suggestions or commands? Which one? Are you talking about 자칫하다? I can't think of it. Can't think of how you would. It would be for something happens. So if you do something, it would still be an if sentence for 자칫하면. 갑돌이, welcome, your first class. Awesome. 자칫하면 한국어 발음. Oh, Stella's mom. Hey, Stella's mom. Thank you. Stella's mom. Who is Stella? Now I have to ask, who is Stella? Is this someone I should know? Who is Stella's mom? Or are you just named Stella and you're someone's mom? So it's just Stella Omma, and Omma is just the title. Daria asks, do you have a lesson for toramen? Yes, I do. I have a full live stream about it. It was a couple years ago. So make sure to check the Google document that I posted in the chat, and you can find that along with the abridged version and the outline and worksheet. Paulina Carolina asks, is in a context of the hot weather's over and now it's cooler, so 살만해요. Yeah, Paulina, I also have a live stream about 만하다, but the really quick version is, are you okay with something? Is this okay for you? Is that that's the sort of meaning you get. So 살다 for to live. Like, are you okay living like this is the literal meaning you get. So is it okay for you? Like, how is life? That's sort of meaning. I would say, so nowadays life in Korea isn't too bad. Like, it's okay. That sort of meaning. But it's difficult to translate it in English without completely changing what I'm saying. Like, oh yeah, the hot weather is over and now it's a bit better, is what we would say. But by better, we mean life. Like, everything is better, right? In Korean, they would specifically say the 만하다 form with that. Traga asks, 선선하다 and 시원하다. I'm going to make this comparison much quicker for you. Use 시원하다. You're not going to use 선선하다 for typical usage if you want to say something feels cool. Zandria. Okay, we have a few questions here. Great. Yeah, feel free to ask some questions and I'll try to get to as many as I can. I have guys asking my age despite all my sidestepping. In Korean? You're talking about in Korea. So in Korea, even more so than in America, it's rude to ask a woman's age. So they're being rude. You can tell them they're being rude. Unless there's someone you really want to impress, they're doing it on purpose. Like, they might not think you care because you're not a Korean person, but they wouldn't bug a Korean person about it so much. What you can tell them though is your generation. So with 대 would be the tens, the decades. So I would be 30대. I would be 30대. 저 30대예요. Like, I'm in my 30s. I'm in the 30s is what it means. Or 20대예요. I'm in my 20s. Like that. You can tell them like that. But the exact age, unless they're like your peers, like for your peers, it's not too bad. They might want to know your age just because they feel close with you. They want to know how they should talk with you. Should I use 반말? Should you use 반말 to me? If they're your peers, it's okay to tell them your age. But if they're much younger than you, it's not. It would be rude in Korea as it is in the States, but more so in Korea. But without knowing the exact situation, I can't tell you any more than that. But this is what I would recommend if you don't want to say it. Just give them the generation. And then you could say, like, you know, I'm in my upper 30s or mid, but you can just leave it at this. My kid's name is Stella. They call me Stella's. Okay. Then Stella 엄마 would be correct. Stella's mom in that case. Lexica says, a question about commas came up elsewhere, and I was reminded of your comment about when you're writing a Korean, just throw away all your commas. So Lexica, I did a separate video in my Korean FAQ series about punctuation. And in Korean, yeah, you're not going to use commas in your sentence like we do to break up a sentence. In Korean, they break up their sentences just by grammar forms. And when people are reading, they know when they reach sentence connectors, like 대, 고, 지만, they know that's where you pause. Whereas we see the comma as a place to know where to pause. Koreans see the sentence connectors, so they don't need commas in that case. What they do use commas for, incorrectly, but you'll see, is as periods. So we'll end a sentence with period and then have another sentence after. In Korea, you might see people end sentences with commas and then go on to another sentence that's kind of related to it. It's wrong. It's not supposed to be like that in Korea either, but that's how a lot of people use it. So you'll see commas used for periods more than you will as, you won't see commas used as in sentences like we do in English. Okay. Aniki asks, what's the difference between like 했으면 좋겠다 and 하면 좋겠다. The quick answer is both work. Both mean I hope or I wish. Like, oh, I really want, like, 날씨가 빨리 시원해졌으면 좋겠다. I really hope the weather gets cool. Or 시원했으면 좋겠다. Or sorry, 시원해졌으면 좋겠다. Or 시원해지면 좋겠다. Like, if it is or if it did. Both are fine. The past tense tends to get used more, though. So 했으면 좋겠다 is more common than 하면 좋겠다. And 했으면 has a more stronger feeling, like, oh, I really wish. Versus 하면 좋겠다 is like, I wish. So use the past tense, but both are the same besides that. You're not going to be wrong if you use one or the other. 트라가 you would use 타다. You could say like, 얼굴이 탔다. My face burned. Instead of, we would say, oh, I got sunburned on my face. We would say, 손이 탔어. 발이 탔어. 귀가 탔어. 목이 탔어. Like that. 탔어요. Or 탔다. 타다 for to burn. So literally you're saying my neck burned. Korpan, you're not a member, but I'll still answer your question. The weather is, 막다 would be to be bright, like bright and clear, like clear weather. If you want to be specific and say it's clear weather, it doesn't mean it's good though. It just means it's clear. So you could say 맑고 좋아요. The weather is clear and nice. Or you can just say 좋아요. The weather is nice. If you like it, or if you don't want to comment on whether you like it or not, you can just say 맑아요. 날씨가 맑아요. But typically I see 막다 used together with other words as well, like 맑고 좋아요 or something like that is pretty common. But you can use it as well, just clear weather. Okay, let's see. Zandria, commas, yeah. Yeah, and commas are a bit inconsistent because, like I said, it's the incorrect usage to do that, but you'll see it. You'll see a lot of incorrect punctuation used in official sources. Like even the official places don't know how to use punctuation. It's pretty common. Same thing goes with spelling. And sorry, not spelling, but spacing. Spacing is another one where even official sources will mess up spacing. It's just a thing. But that means you don't have to worry about it too much either. Yeah, 타다 has so many meanings. That's right. 타다 is also to be tan. Well, that's what you would use for sunburned or suntan. Yeah, both of those would work. 화창하다. Yeah, that's more of a formal word. Whereas 맑아요, 막다 would be a pure Korean word. I prefer though, if you want to say it's like sunny and bright, 쨍쨍하다. Yeah. Double checking my spelling before I put it up here for everyone to learn from. So this is when the sun is just like it's really sunny. It's just like super sunny. And you're like, like that. Like, sunny weather. What I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be clear sky sunny, but you walk outside and you're like, oh, I wish I brought sunglasses. Like really sunny weather. 쨍쨍하다. You can use that as well. That's different than saying like 맑아요. 맑아요 is like clear, just like clear weather. It doesn't have to be like that. 트다 and 피다. Can you tell me where you saw those? 오늘 수업 지나칠. I almost skipped passed by class. I missed it. Okay. 지금 비 오기 시작했어요. Nice, Paul. Started raining in Seoul today. For a trip to Korea for your first time, would it be better to wait to be advanced learner? No. Traga, that's a question I've heard a lot actually. How much Korean do I need to know before I go to Korea? The answer is none. You need no Korean. And the reason is there is no amount of Korean you could prepare in advance before you go to Korea to say you have enough. Anyway, going to Korea is more than just the language. So you need to know, how do you take the bus? How are you going to, if you're living there, how do you get your cell phone plans set up? All of these things you can't learn in advance. So there is no amount that you could know and be completely prepared. Just go. Of course, the more you know, the better, but you're not going to be able to, there is no maximum. Even for me, before I go to Korea, I have to prepare. I have to get an Airbnb first, plan how do I get to my apartment. But until I actually do these things and learn them, I still also feel like I'm a foreigner. I feel like I'm a tourist until I've gotten settled at my new place, until I've gotten my luggage into my apartment and gone out to eat something. I feel like I'm not really accustomed to Korea yet every time I go there, despite speaking Korean fine. Like I'll get lost. I'm like, I've never taken this subway route before. Oh, I didn't know I have to get off on this side. And this is the exit. Yeah, so don't worry about it. You don't need to know any Korean to go to Korea to enjoy. The more you know, the better though. If you are fluent, you'll obviously have a better trip knowing that much Korean versus someone who doesn't know any. But you can kind of make up for that by having native friends in the area. Paulina says, when's the next Hanja video? This Monday, tomorrow. You'll get a new Hanja video about the word 도, meaning 길. Traga, so many things to prepare. Yeah, but just do it. Just, in the words of Shia LaBeouf, just do it. Do it. Yesterday, you said you'd go to Korea tomorrow. So just do it. Make your Korean dreams come true. Do it. Okay, I think I broke that. Anyway, let's see. 저도 일본어 1도 모르지만 다음 달 혼자 여행 갑니다. Yeah! You don't need to know Japanese to go to Japan either. Heck, I didn't. My first time I went to Japan, I barely spoke anything. But it was enough to have, conversations and ask about things. So it was good. I had a great time. Let's see. Yeah, Hanja videos are going to be more of a consistent thing. I mean, I'll keep making them. They won't be uploaded all the time. But 그냥 해. Yeah, I did that before. So I thought I'd just do it in English this time. 그냥 해. 아니, 뭘 망설이고 있는 거야? 어제 넌 내일 할 거라고 그랬어. 그러니까 그냥 해. 불가능한 거 아무것도 없어. 너의 꿈을 실현시켜. 나이키가 빌리를 좋아. Yeah, maybe. Traga says, people told me I can't talk to strangers in Korea. So, Traga, it's interesting you asked that question. When I was in Korea, I filmed a video exactly about that question. Let me tell you when it's going up. You'll have to wait a couple months. It's going to be uploaded in October. But I did make a video about small talk and how to talk to strangers. The short version is you don't. But the slightly longer version is you can talk to strangers because you're not a Korean person. So you can get away with it. But make sure that anytime you're talking to a stranger in public, it doesn't feel like you don't make them feel like they're pressured to respond to you. So in casual situations when it feels like, oh, they could just easily ignore me, they're not going to bug me, then it's okay. But if they feel like they're pressured, like in an elevator or you're approaching them on the street and they're doing something, then it can be uncomfortable for them. But if it's something really casual where there's no pressure from them, it's okay. And older people, it's also usually okay. When I say older, I mean like people that look at least 50 or older. So 50s, 60s, somewhere around there and older, they tend to like small talk a little bit more. But anyway, the video will be have more details about that, and that'll be uploaded sometime in October. So you'll have to wait a bit. Okay, let's see. Okay, I can take a few more questions. Just 5 more minutes and then we're going to stop. The extra said, yeah, small talk isn't really a thing. And if a Korean person approaches you with small talk, they're likely trying to get you into a cult. This is 100% true. Yeah, that's actually the other thing. I talk about that in the video as well. 100% true. If a Korean person approaches you for any reason, except to tell you that you dropped something or something like that, like if it's actually something important, except for that, if a Korean person approaches you with any sort of small talk, oh, where are you from? Where are you going? Like they approach you, you're not already together, but they come up to you. It's like 100%. It's a cult. So yeah, tell them no, thank you. You don't have to ask them what it's about. Just immediately, it's going to be that. Just say no, thank you in English and you can leave. Okay, let's say here. All right, then let's say here. Is that a dialect anywhere? Am I just making this up? Does anyone in the world talk like that? Zandria says, culture-wise, what's humiliating to learn too late as a foreigner? Some Koreans can feel uncomfortable when you're smiling all the time. This is a very specific thing that I've heard because I tend to smile a lot. Some Koreans are uncomfortable with it because they think there's something wrong with you. Maybe there is, but you don't want to show it to them. So when you're walking around in public, I don't mean like smiling like happy. I mean like this kind of smiling, like you're excited smiling, like they might think something's wrong with you. So just careful about that. When you're sitting down, don't shake your legs. And there's some things like that. Don't yell too loud. Don't talk in public transportation. That's something that's a little bit less known because Koreans also will talk sometimes on the bus, and in the subway, but it's much less. It's like some people who do it are considered, even in Korea, it's considered to be a little rude. So what you don't want to do is get on a bus with your friends and then be like talking really loud while you're going on the bus. So keep your volume down when you're in public, especially when you're in that kind of trapped space that other people can't leave, like a subway or a bus. And know that it's considered rude if you're talking loud in either of those. So if you're on the subway, you can talk to your friend, you're sitting next to them. But if your friend's sitting across with you, don't be like, hey, so I was going to the other place. Where do you want to go next? Like, don't like shout across the aisle when you're on public transportation. That's another thing that I think is embarrassing for foreigners because the Koreans don't really feel like you're being rude. They know that you don't know, but they might feel kind of embarrassed. They're like, I want to tell them it's rude, but I don't want them to think I'm being rude to them. So I just won't say anything, but they'll feel uncomfortable about it because no one else is doing it. That's another thing to know. In fact, I visited Korea with my mom actually, and we were sitting in the front of a bus. And normally you're not supposed to talk in the bus either, but we were so excited to be in Korea. We were just, talking. We were kind of talking quietly. We weren't even yelling. But because we were right next to the bus driver, after we were talking for about 10 minutes, quietly to each other, like, oh, next we're going to go here. The bus driver turned around and told me, basically in Korean, can you shut up? You're really loud. To both of just told us like that. 좀 시끄럽거든요. Like literally, you're being really loud. But it's kind of a way of saying shut up. And I was like, oh yeah, sorry. And I'm like, the bus driver just told us to shut up. We're talking too much. So it's not only volume, but it's also proximity. Just be careful. That was a bit embarrassing for me because of course I knew we weren't supposed to be talking, but I was thinking like, we're foreigners. He's not going to care. But no, most people just won't say anything, but a few people might. So yeah, just note that. Try to keep your volume down when you're in public, like transportation, including when you're in the station, because other people are also next to you there. But when you're in other areas, you're in a cafe and other people are talking loud, it doesn't matter if you're talking loud too. No one's going to care. Don't shake your legs. Yeah. In Korea, they say if you shake your legs while you're sitting down, that your good luck will fly away. Your good luck leaves you if you shake your legs. Like you're shaking away your good luck. It's just an expression they use in Korean. So when you're sitting down, if you're shaking your leg because, you have energy, don't do it. It'll attract every Korean's eye toward your legs. And they'll be subconsciously thinking, stop that, stop that, stop that, stop that, like that, while looking at you. So that's another thing. Rushing War said, what about asking for directions? No, because you're a foreigner, you get the foreigner card. They will not think you are in a cult. If you're legitimately lost, do it. But if a Korean comes up to you and asks you for directions, no, it's a cult. If they are old, however, it's probably fine because they legitimately thought, they couldn't see, they legitimately thought you might be Korean. That's happened to me a lot, where an older Korean person would come up and say, oh, excuse me, I'm trying to go to this station. They just legitimately don't care. They're not trying to sell me anything. They just need to ask someone they thought I was a Korean not because I look Korean, but because maybe their vision isn't very good anymore. Jarrett, thank you. Jarrett, where can I download the worksheets? The worksheets are on my Patreon page. I'll put a link in the description that has all of the worksheets. Thank you for sponsoring as well. Paulina, we are all just stressed and shake our legs. I used to be a leg shaker as well. And before I met my wife, and she told me that, I actually didn't really realize. I knew it was kind of like Koreans didn't do it, but I didn't know the extent. And she told me that as soon as we met. And I'm like, oh. And as soon as I learned that, I realized, oh yeah, you're right. Koreans really don't do that. So that was something I didn't know for years. And this was after I already spoke Korean. Jess Bridges says, friends actually text each other back and forth on the subway car. Yeah, if you're not sitting next to each other, they'll do that. Or if they want to talk a lot, they might text each other. But you'll see people talking back and forth all the time on the subway. They just do it next to each other. And they don't do it loud. Like they might just whisper or they'll just talk quietly. But they're not going to like laugh and have a full conversation, is what I mean. Okay, I think that's enough for today. Let me just check really quick. Paul says, 얼마 전에 지하철에서 외국인 몇 명 유튜브로 BTS 영상 보다가 소리를 질러서 승객들이 흉기를 가지고 있는 줄 알고 놀라서 대피하는 소도. Yeah, everyone's going to stare at you if you're laughing loud or talking really loud, and not in a good way. So just keep that in mind. Different cultural expectations in Korea. It's a normal thing. Just like when Koreans come to the US and there are things that they'll do that Americans might think are funny or unusual. It's the same sort of thing. You also don't stand on thresholds, pull off your shoes in restaurants, in cafes. I'm not sure what you mean. That could be an older Korean thing, but nowadays a lot of the things with shoes a lot of the culture to go with shoes are gone. Besides taking off your shoes when you enter certain buildings, like sit down restaurants, you still do, and people's houses. Other than that, a lot of the superstitions about shoes are gone. Like crossing your legs used to be extremely rude, and now no one cares except really old people, and really old people won't say anything. So my family has such a hard time being quiet in restaurants. Mary, you are in luck. You are in luck because if you go to a restaurant that serves alcohol, which most restaurants do, just order a drink and then laugh as loud as you want and they'll think you're drunk. Free pass. You don't even have to drink. Just order a bottle, put it on your table, and then just start Just start laughing like that with your friends. They're going to think you're drunk. No one's going to care because that's the Korean way is to drink and then laugh and talk really loud. And then not when you're not drinking though. So restaurants that have typically serve drinks, so later in the evenings, it's more of an acceptable thing. Yeah, so you're okay. Zandria says, what counts as a sit-down restaurant? Oh, sorry. I mean a sit-down restaurant where you're sitting on the floor, where you actually sit down, not a restaurant that has table and chairs, in which case you do wear your shoes. If you see a place at the restaurant in the entrance where you step up onto a platform, like it might be, a few inches above the ground, anywhere you see that means this is where you take off your shoes. If you see a shoe cupboard, that means you take off your shoes there. But it's going to be the restaurants where you sit down on the ground. It's not going to be restaurants where you're sitting at a table. So, okay. All right. Thank you everyone for coming. That's enough for today. Thank you everyone for coming, and I will see you again next time. The next lesson will be 2 weeks from today. So there's no lesson on Sunday. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.